The Saw film franchise has seen many movie stars come and go, but it's clear that the real stars are the deathly traps that these characters find themselves in. We've seen so many strange and downright insane traps get featured in films that you'd wonder, what would I do if I get trapped in one of these? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered as we explain how to escape Saw traps. Starting off with the very first trap. With many deadly contraptions and diabolical plans shown in all of the 9 Saw movies, none is as memorable and hair-raising as the very first one we got to see. Though it's the simplest one involving no complicated gadgets or anything, it pushed the movie into the limelight. We're of course talking about the bathroom trap, or the Saw trap, from where the film gets its name from. In the beginning, Gordon, an oncologist, and Adam, a photographer, both found themselves chained to a pipe on opposite sides of a bathroom. The bathroom being quite filthy makes this trap extra hard to survive. With both their ankles chained to metal pipes, the two looked for ways to get out. Soon, they both found tapes in their pockets that gave them instructions on what to do in order to get out. Adam's tape simply told him to survive, while Gordon's tape told him to kill Adam to save his wife and daughter. Well, the two stuck it out and looked for more ways to escape. Soon they found 2 rusty hacksaws and tried to saw off their chains, but it became apparent that these hacksaws weren't meant for the chains, but for their feet instead. So, Gordon inevitably sawed off his foot and escaped the bathroom, leaving Adam screaming behind him. But it was also revealed in the end that the key to Adam's lock was there the whole time, in the bathtub, which he accidentally unplugged and the key went down the drain. So folks, if you were ever caught in one of these situations, you have to suck it up and let go of your foot, or just keep your eyes peeled for actual keys that Jigsaw has left behind you. Sometimes he really just makes staying alive that simple and easy. Moving on to another simple task that just needed some brains. With a slightly bigger budget, the second film in the Saw series had more elaborate traps set for the victims, but one of those traps was just so simple that we're surprised the evil mastermind Jigsaw even put it in there. But there's a catch. There always is. While they're inhaling toxic gas, Jigsaw's victims were supposed to find the antidote to it in the building he's left them in. One of his victims walks into a room intoxicated from the gas and finds that antidote in a glass box. If you watch carefully, the box is actually open. It's not really locked or anything. But the victim is deceived by the 2 holes in the box and pushes her hand inside them to grab the antidote. She put one hand in and accidentally spilled the antidote. Confused, she put the other one through the hole as well. Then she realized that the holes were actually lined with razors. So she just stood there crying for help until the razors sliced through her wrists with every move. Not only are her arms trapped, but she's also getting choked by toxic gas in the air. We can't think of a more gruesome way to go. So folks, some things are really as simple as they seem. When you find a random glass box, take your time to inspect it and don't just jam your hands anywhere without looking. But if there's a toxic gas in the air making you dumber, well, we can't blame you then. Apart from wits, some traps just require some selfishness. Let's be honest, whoever Jigsaw captures as his victim isn't really a nice person. All of them have done something shameful or morally corrupt in their past. This is why the serial killer catches them, to teach them a harsh lesson. So naturally, his victims are also forced to do something questionable to save their own lives. One of these traps showed up in Saw 2. A woman named Amanda Young woke up to find herself in another one of John Kramer's devices. This later came to be known as the reverse bear trap. Placed over her head was a giant bear trap, but instead of clamping shut, this worked differently. After setting off a 60-second timer, Amanda had to find the key to the trap. If she failed to do so, the trap would open up, pulling apart her lower jaw from her upper jaw. The key was placed in the stomach of a man who lay unconscious before her. But what made things really complicated was that Amanda knew the man she was about to stab. The man was a patient from a facility she was admitted into. So you see, in this case, Jigsaw did provide the victim with a key, but the only tricky part was that Amanda had to kill someone to get it. And also, racing against time since she only had 60 seconds to do so. If you're a fan of these films, you'd know that Amanda managed to escape this trap with the only way out, by killing the man in front of her. Amanda did struggle to stab her cellmate at first, but she eventually did it. To escape this horrific bear trap, you have to swallow your morals and just get that key quickly. Just like Amanda, who went on to live to a longer life than Jigsaw's victims. And on to the next corrupting task. This one comes from the 8th installment of the series, so the traps have gotten quite creative by this point as they push push the limits further to what can or can't be done by a human. In this trap, there were 4 victims. One of them had to make the ultimate choice though, as the rest of the 3 victims were suspended in the air with a noose around their necks. The 4th one got poisoned. She quickly had to decide which one of the 3 injections were safe to take. One of the injections contained an antidote, another contained acid, and the last one contained saline. The victim had to immediately decide which one to inject, as the lives of the other 3 victims depended on her. As she failed to make a decision, one of the other victims injected her with all 3, causing the acid to burn through her insides. Yikes. What she could have done to identify the acid, though, was simply test it on something, perhaps on a little part of her skin, though we can't blame her entirely since she had 3 people screaming for their lives above her head and a deadly poison coursing through her veins. So if you're caught in this trap, just be sure you think on your feet, or you'd have someone else making the decision for you. Apart from being selfish, you have to have superhuman strength as well for this next one. Jigsaw loves making people literally reach into themselves or offer a part of their bodies to escape his twisted games. In Saw 3D, the least impressive of the film series, one of his victims was left with a near impossible task. In this scene, a victim named Bobby gets trapped in an asylum. To escape, Jigsaw asks him to pull out his teeth. Not just any teeth, but his wisdom teeth. The teeth would have the combination he required to leave the room. If you've been to the dentist to get your wisdom teeth taken out, you know how deeply rooted those suckers are. Bobby had to get the job done with a pair of pliers and no mirrors or anesthesia, of course. The serial killer Jigsaw made it way easier for him when he told him which ones to take out. Now, this task is the most doable out of all the ones we've picked so far. Bobby managed to do it as well after taking out 2 of his teeth and getting the code to open the door. For this trap though, we hope you have the extra strength it requires to pull those teeth out. Finally, we're on to the last one. It seems that Jigsaw has a particular liking for syringes, as they keep popping up in every other trap. In the second Saw movie, one of the victims got thrown into a pit of syringes. And they're not just any syringes, they're dirty and used ones, and some of them are actually deadly. With their needles sticking out, the victim had to quickly reach inside the piles and piles of injections to find a key that could save her. This trap is quite painful to watch, as the victim constantly gets stuck by needles and screams out in pain. For this trap, you just have to trust your luck and find that key. To make it easier, you could just empty the syringes one by one, but of course, there'd be a time limit to this task as well. That's a wrap for this video. Which trap do you think you can beat? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.